Welcome back, everybody. You're watching Parvasi TV. This is your host, Neha Gulati. Today we are celebrating 16 years of Parvasi Radio. At the same time, the launch of Parvasi TV. Our next guest is a special lady, a lady who's bold, who's strong, who's always standing by the people. Our leader of opposition, NDP Ontario, Andrea Horwath. Thank you so much for coming to our studio.
Well, I'm absolutely honored to have been invited and excited to see how fabulous this is. I mean, it's just really, really wonderful.
Yeah, we have come a long way. It's going to be a 24-hour news channel and also going to be broadcasting news from India, worldwide, and obviously broadcasting local news as well. So what do you think? You must have gone through the journey outside, how he started back in 2002. What do you think about that?
Well, one of the things that struck me is how far he's gone, how far Parvasi's come in such a short period of time. And so what that tells me is the determination, the dedication, the just the sheer will to make sure that people were able to get information, news, community information in their own language, which is so extremely important. And of course, I learned today that Parvasi means immigrant, which I didn't know. So that's really great as well, because this is this country of immigrants, and it's a province of immigrants. And so to have now the television, 24/7 television, on top of the newspapers, right, on top of the radio, it's really fantastic. It's something I'm so thrilled to be able to be here to share this opportunity, because it's been a long journey in terms of what's been accomplished, but in a very short time. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, we all come here as immigrants. The people who do come here as immigrants, they always come here with a dream. I've always seen you talking about immigrants. You've always stood out for immigrants and how their struggles have been. You've always spoken for them. You've shared your personal stories in the media. And there are some people who make it to the media and it looks very glamorous, but there's a lot of struggle behind that. There are a lot of challenges. What do you think? How do you differentiate between today's generation and the generation that came before?
Well, I mean, you mean generation of immigrants,
immigrant diaspora now, and the immigrant diaspora that came at that time.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of similar barriers. There's a lot of similar struggles, but I think that the kind of the trail has been blazed by folks that came beforehand, and so that helps newer immigrants to find a path forward when the path has already been cleared by folks that arrived in the last generation or the generation before that. And that's what I think is extremely important, to build on those who came before us and to continue to grow, and that's what this station, this media group is doing, and it will open opportunities for new immigrants that are coming as well. So I don't know that there's I would say maybe the one big difference, I would say, is the nature of media with the online presence and how media has changed in these last 15, 20 years is significant, right?
Yeah. Since you are here, I do have to ask you about the COVID crisis and the response that we are getting. What do you think? How is the Ford government doing so far?
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody can look at, over 1,850 senior citizens losing their lives in long-term care and say that we successfully managed the COVID crisis. I know that parents are still very worried. School is, next week, the week after, school's back, and children are worried. Parents are worried, educators are worried, and of course the numbers are starting to creep up again. So I think there will come a time when we do that report card, when we really do an analysis on how the government did. But right now, my chief concern is getting kids back to school safely and making sure our teachers are safe, and then of course all of their families, because if something were to happen in a school, it comes back to the family. And I'm still going to push the government to make some permanent changes to long-term care. I mean, we're talking about a second wave is quite possible this fall, but we don't see more people hired into the long-term care centers, and we don't see a minimum hours of hands-on care for every person, and we don't see the ratios of PSWs keeping only one job and not traveling in between different homes, which can spread disease, right? I mean, there's lots of things the government could change, and of course the biggest is that we need that public inquiry. We need a judicial public inquiry so that everybody who wants to have a voice will be able to tell their story, and so that the public can feel confident that the information that comes out is completely unbiased. And what Mr. Ford has chosen to do, unfortunately, is a commission of people that he's appointed, that he'll control, and those people will decide who gets to speak, who gets to give testimony, who gets engaged in the process, and it's really behind closed doors. So that's disappointing.
What do you think about the federal government's response and the help that they have just provided to all the provinces?
On education?
Absolutely,
Well,
back to school,
yeah.
$2 billion.
Yeah, the $2 billion, and I think it's welcome. I mean, I think the investment is welcome. It's concerning, though, that Mr. Trudeau felt that he had to jump in when Mr. Ford wasn't prepared to provide the finances necessary for the school boards to make all of their classrooms safe and with distancing. And
Do you think this will be a good distribution of funds by the Ford government?
Well, I guess it's a matter of wait and see. I don't have any details on how they're going to distribute the money, but I do still hear that, for example, some school boards, they've been asked, of course, to dip into their reserves, the reserve funds, which is not fiscally sound, right? It's not a smart thing to do, but that's what Mr. Ford decided. But they're still having a hard time getting the classes to about 15, which is what every healthcare professional has said, that classes of 15, where kids can distance, is the safest possible opening. But it doesn't look like we're going to get there.
A lot of teachers are concerned when we are going out and doing interviews, and there are a lot of teachers who are concerned. They're concerned for themselves, their families, and their kids.
Yeah.
Like, we are just not teachers, we are also family members, so they're very scared about that. And some of the teachers are saying only 50% are ready to go back, and so 50% are not ready to go back. So what do you think about that? Where do you see the stats going?
Well, I mean, I think that now that there's a staggering of people going back, that might help a little bit. But I hear the same things. I hear the same things from teachers. I hear the same things from parents. I've been visiting different communities across the province, and it's pretty amazing to see how similar the concerns are of parents, no matter where they are in the province. And it's like you said, the same things that the teachers are identifying. If someone gets sick, that means you take it back to your house. There are so many kids whose elderly relatives, grandmas and grandpas, like grandparents or aunts and uncles, take care of the kids after school before mom and dad get home from work. And those people are also at risk, and they're often a little bit older, and so they're even
vulnerable
more at
too.
risk.
They're vulnerable too.
Yeah.
Well, I really hope the response gets better. I really hope the cases decrease, and we open up to the phase 4, and that'll really help all of us. Well, once again, thank you so much to come to our studio, and so good to have you in our studio, and we look forward to interviewing you more right here.
My pleasure, and I'll be looking forward to be invited back.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much once again.
Thank you.
Okay.